This is Heather Riley, and you've reached ReillyBooks. If you're trying to find me online, I have the name that rhymes, R-E-I-L-L-Y. Pretty soon I'm going to start a new segment called the Top 2 Tweets, where I will answer any questions you leave for me there about my book or about myself. So if you're interested, if you have any questions, if you want to get to know a little bit about me or my writing or my books, feel free to drop me a message on Twitter, and I'll answer that in the next segment. If you're interested in the artwork I do each segment, then you can tune in afterwards. There will be a skill testing question about something that happened in the chapter today. And if you can answer it, the top 3 correct answers, the first 3 correct answers, will get a digitalized copy mailed straight to you. If you liked today's video, hit the like and subscribe button on YouTube. That way you'll be ready for the next video when it comes out. And the best thing about them is they're free. Who doesn't like free? Come on. Hit that like and subscribe. Hit it.
Chapter 3, Royalty. In many of the castle's cool rooms there hung gorgeous hand-woven tapestries. Some depicted scenes of nature, some of women in pretty dresses, some were of creatures like unicorns that may or may not actually exist. One depicted a battle which showed Karn himself fighting some kind of beast with wings. The room this one hung in belonged to the prince, and had a vast fireplace in one wall which could give off heat and waves. On an adjacent wall there were a couple of windows near the corner. This was the prince's favorite spot, as it had a chair that was positioned in order to make it possible for him to both enjoy the view of his quarters and that of the courtyard, and allowed him to hear the sounds of the marketplace below. He had thick piled carpets of ruby reds, purples, and golds in several places so his royal feet wouldn't get cold on the flagstone floor. In an inner chamber, the huge canopied bed was the center of attention, with velvety drapes that hung down the sides to provide darkness and privacy for its occupant. Things were peaceful right now with the sound of the birds that sung outside, yet the prince paced impatiently back and forth in his bedroom's lavish outer chamber. "You're going to wear a path right down the center of your rug," announced Karn as he waited with the prince for Aylin's arrival. The prince gave him an exasperated look and took a seat on the cushioned armchair by the window, where he sat shifting around, exuding impatience. "Why do girls always take so long to get ready? What do they do in their chambers?" complained the prince. "Just once I'd like to arrive on time for an occasion, but I spend half my time waiting for my 3 sisters to primp and preen and try on 4 dresses before they're ever satisfied. As well, after all that, they still always come out looking the same as when they went in. And now it seems that this is what it is like with all girls. What are they waiting for? A miracle to occur?" Now, admonished Karn, cutting him off in the middle of his ranting. "Your sisters are not just any girls. They are 3 princesses who are going to be of marrying age in a few short months. They are expected to act and look like ladies. It is as much of a burden to them as cleaning out the stalls is to the stable boy, or your sword fighting is to you when you tire of doing drills. We do what is expected of us because we must." Just then, as they chatted in front of the prince's vast fireplace, the 2 heard an argument in full swing coming from the hall. "Where is he?" a forceful female voice demanded. "In the prince's chambers, but you mustn't go in there without being summoned, and especially looking like this," a woman argued. "It's not proper. It simply isn't done." The prince and Karn exchanged a worried look. "It's only not done because no one has ever done it before," the younger voice pointed out, and then, amid shrieks and protests, the chamber doors burst open, admitting 2 servants and a red-faced, sopping, wet Aylin, still fully clothed. She found Karn with her eyes and let him have it. "Tell these women I do not have to have a bath!" She stood, fists on her hips, as a multitude of bubbles continued to pop on her head, and her clothes began to form quite a formidable puddle on the prince's intricate red carpet. Filled with indignation, she hurled at him. "I will be 11 years old in only 3 days, and I know when and how to take my own baths." Karn looked pointedly at her wet clothes and replied in a good-natured voice, "Oh, come now, Most of the people in this palace see it as a privilege and quite relaxing to have the servants wait on them hand and foot. Besides, your ability to bathe yourself remains to be seen. I don't know how you do it on the farm, but folks around here usually disrobe to take their baths." He chuckled. Anger flashed inside Ailin, and hot tears sprung to her eyes, threatening to spill over her lower lids. This was a serious matter as far as she was concerned. She had been treated roughly, manhandled, and now, instead of justice, she was being laughed at. She felt her short nails bite into her palms as her fingers curled into fists. She filled her lungs to give Karn another piece of her mind, but was interrupted as the men's attention was diverted across the room. One of the servants, a gray-haired portly woman in a gray-brown frock and white apron, interjected. "I'm afraid that it was Milly's doing, sir," she said humbly, while keeping her eyes on the floor. "This girl saw the gown she was to wear and refused to give us her old clothes. She put up such a fight that I'm afraid Milly lost her temper and threw her into the bathwater, clothes and all." Stern-faced, the prince stood up from his place by the window and approached Ailin, careful not to step in the growing puddle. "You enter my castle, disobey orders, and insult my hospitality in my own home?" the prince scolded haughtily. "Why do you hate the dress that was picked out for you? It was one that used to be my sister's. It was one of her favorites. You're very lucky to have an opportunity to wear it. Is it not fine enough for you?" "Because it's a gown," she argued. "And you are a girl," he responded automatically. "And no one ever accused me of being a lady," she shot back. "Well, maybe that's because you definitely don't act like one. Perhaps with a little training," he started, but he never got a chance to finish, because at that moment the soaked-to-the-bone Ailin took her opportunity and seized the prince. She moved in a flash. Before anyone could stop her, she leapt toward the prince, enfolding his neck in the circle of one sopping arm, forcing him down. "Maybe with a little training, you'd be able to get out of this headlock," she retorted. Instantly, Karn was up, sword drawn, ready to act on any threat to the throne. "Calm yourself, Karn," ordered the prince triumphantly from the girl's armpit. "This is my Ailin, and I," he said to her, "am Prince Oslin, at your service."
Today's skill testing question for Chapter 3 is, how did Aylin get wet? Answer it in the comments underneath this video, or you can tweet me on Twitter at ReillyBooks. If you have any questions or comments, I'd love to hear from you on Twitter or on Facebook at ReillyBooks. And come visit my website, www.ReillyBooks.com, for access to the ebooks, the audiobooks, and just to make your day a little more awesome. Who wants to be offensive? No, being offensive is bad when there are children involved. Remember, these videos are for children and adults alike, so please keep it clean. Thank you for tuning in, my epic fans. I hope to see you next time. That was today's look at a Reilly book. Thanks for tuning in.